Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the pleasure to be joined by my friends Caden Spruill and Kyle Collier, both fellow producers at Sports Radio 810 WHB. And in this video, we're going to talk about trade targets for the Chiefs before the trade deadline. So, fellas, we've gotten reports from Diana Rossini of The Athletic, Matt Miller of ESPN, that the Chiefs are actively looking to trade for a defensive lineman. You know, they had their star, budding star, Omar Norman-Lott, suffer a torn ACL. He's out for the season, and they're in dire need of some more help there. So I think that even before Omar got hurt, they were going to trade for a defensive lineman, but that injury only expedited the process. So I do expect the Chiefs to make a move for someone on that defensive line, whether it's an edge rusher or a defensive tackle. But what do you guys think? And we'll start with Kyle.
Yeah, Darcy, unfortunately, it's going to be a necessary move that I think Brett Veach has to consider, going out and trading for somebody, because frankly, right now, you just need bodies. We had Matt Derrick on our show today. He brought up a point that I didn't think about. You have three healthy interior guys on the defensive line right now. It's Jerry Tillery, it's Chris Jones, who can play anywhere, and then it's Derek Nottie, who I believe PFF still has ranked in last place in all interior defensive linemen. Even before the Omar Norman-Lott injury, I thought it was going to be necessary to go get help along that defensive line, even over the running back position. In my eyes, it's even more necessary now. The bad thing is that other teams know the Chiefs are going to be desperate, and who wants to help the big bad villain of the NFL?
Yeah, you're completely right. I think at this point, there's not really an option. I think that the Chiefs have no option but to go out and try to find a piece. And you addressed the depth issues, but it's not only the depth issues, but it's just a skill issue. We haven't been able to generate pressure, not only on the edge rushers haven't been able to generate pressure, but the interior hasn't really either. Chris Jones has picked it up the last couple of weeks a little bit, but like you said, we don't really have anybody behind him, so he can't do that all game. And I also think that this is a good opportunity for the Chiefs to venture out and find somebody. There's a lot of available options. There's you look at the Jets, the Dolphins, a couple of teams that are, they may have a fire sale coming up here soon, when the deadline approaches. So I think this is just a great opportunity for the Chiefs to go make a move.
When initially we were under the impression the Chiefs wanted a defensive lineman and a running back, and I think the running back trade market is going to be a lot higher and a lot more expensive than the defensive lineman trade deadline. So I think that it makes more sense from a financial standpoint and just the draft capital that you would have to give up to go get somebody by trading for a defensive lineman than a running back. And like you said, there are some very good options on bad football teams that are going to be selling their top players. And someone that kind of comes to mind for me is, defensive tackle Calais Campbell of the Arizona Cardinals. Like, I understand he's up there in age, but he has consistently been one of the better defensive tackles in football. He can also get to the quarterback. He's great against the run, and he can get to the quarterback. He's already got 3 sacks this year. It just makes sense for what he would cost. It's like under $2 million. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And right now, the Chiefs are about a little over $4 million in cap space, according to SpotRack.com. That's not a lot. That's not a ton of room to work with anything. So if you're looking at a Jalen Phillips, hell, even Kayvon Thibodeau in New York, some of your or Max Crosby, right, who's been all around the rumor mill, especially this week. Those guys probably not in your price range. So getting a vet like a Melvin Ingram, your Terrell Suggs types, your Carlos Dunlaps, that's the range you're going to be looking in. And I know that's not exciting to anybody, but I mean, scroll up and down PFF, you're going to find the Chiefs defensive lineman near the bottom of the list. So they need anybody, really. And anybody can be an upgrade.
Yeah, you're completely right. And there's a couple options that I've considered. I think one that kind of that goes along with your point as well is Matthew Judon, a guy with the Dolphins he was a surprise inactive this Sunday, and that's not common of Matthew Judon. He's been a proven pass rusher in this league. for years now. I know he gave the Chiefs problems, plenty of times. So I think that would be somebody that you could possibly look at, maybe like when we went out and got Terrell Suggs. I think that's a good comparison. Kind of come in and just fill a complimentary role. And then another guy, Jermaine Johnson. He's obviously a lot younger. As you said, the cap hit is going to be something that we're obviously going to have to watch there. The Jets have already exercised his fifth-year option, so he's already guaranteed $13 million for the 2026 season. So we're going to have to make some things work as far as cap goes with that situation. But as I said before, there's options out there. It's just a matter of what distance the Chiefs are willing to go to make the trade work.
Well, I'll tell you what, a guy that I would welcome back with open arms. I don't think the Chiefs should ever got rid of him. I would trade a 6th-round draft pick to go get Mike Pennell. I think Mike Pennell's been excellent at stopping the run in Cincinnati. And, when the Chiefs picked Derek Nottie over Mike Pennell, that was immediately the wrong decision. And I think that over time they have seen the, rewards of Derek Nottie, and they just haven't been what they thought, he was going to be. And I think that they tried to play a little roster shenanigans with Mike Pennell and try to get him on the practice squad and, play that whole game with him. I don't think he wanted to do it, and if I was the Chiefs, I would go out and trade for Mike Pennell. You know that the locker room is going to be ecstatic with it. He fits right in. He knows the defense. I think that fit makes too much sense. But, what is your ideal trade target? And we'll start with Caden.
Well, another name I've looked at is I talked a little about the edge rushers, but I think if we look at the interior, Colin Saunders, a former Chief. There's been a little bit of chatter on with him talking about burn-ins. I don't know if you guys saw his tweet about the burn-ins, but everybody's kind of, chatting about that. Maybe he's, headed back to KC. You never know, but obviously, as we spoke about, there's a dire need of D-tackle depth, and he's a guy that I'm not sure. I haven't looked at his cap numbers and what that contract looks like in New Orleans, but he's another guy that's familiar.
He's
with
in Jacksonville now.
Oh, is he? Okay, yeah. Was he traded up early in the season?
I think he was traded.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, he's a guy that's familiar with the system, and I think everybody in Chiefs Kingdom would welcome back with open arms.
Yeah, and I'm with you on both of them. The Mike Pennell situation, I think it was Chris Jones. Was it earlier this week, Darcy? That He said, we got to get my dog back, whatever it costs or whatever he said. That's an odd situation to have Mike Pennell in the building in training camp. You go through camp with them, and you just get rid of him for a guy in Derek Nottie, who we all know what Derek Nottie is. He's a below average football player. He's a depth guy. I really don't understand the process there. It continues to boggle my mind. But if you were to ask me my dream target, I'd probably say Jeffrey Simmons in Tennessee. But I know he can be a problematic player. I think he's owed around a little over $8 million. So that's probably not in the Chiefs' price range, unless Brett Veach can do something with contracts. But I think Calais Campbell, that's probably the right route to go, because he could do it all. And frankly, you just need the Chiefs just need somebody who can do something.
Well, Calais Campbell, if you traded for him, I don't think people understand how much that would elevate the Chiefs' floor in that defensive tackle room. Because he's I think he's like 37 years old. He's still 10 times better than Derek Nottie. He's been a productive player in Arizona, and that team is going nowhere. And so, there are plenty of guys around the league that the Chiefs could throw a 6th or a 7th round draft pick at, and I think that team would probably end up taking it. Now, running back would be a different story, but I do think that the Chiefs have bigger issues on the defensive line than they do right now in the running back room, and so that has to be the number one goal. But I want to talk more about this situation, and we'll do that right after this break. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be. With over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, and an ESPN Bet sportsbook, there are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow their Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Huge thanks to the sponsors that have supported this channel all football season long. Now, I want to ask you guys, because obviously we know that the pass rush has not been all that good this year. They can't really get to the quarterback. They can't even really pressure the quarterback. But also, they've had, I don't want to say issues stopping the run, because when they truly commit to it, they're not bad. But if you look at like even PFF's run grades and where they rank overall in stopping the run, it could be better. What do you think is a bigger need, pass rush or a run stuffer? And we'll start with Kyle.
Over the course of the first 6 or 7 weeks, I feel like the run game's been plenty fine, middle of the road, and that's all you need from them. The thing I worry about is you get to the playoffs, you're going to be facing the best of the best, the top quarterbacks in this league, and I don't want to give those guys time. Yes, the secondary has been fantastic. PFF loves them some Kansas City secondary, and we do too. They can most teams can get coverage sacks. Where Kansas City, basically all their sacks this year look like coverage sacks, do they not? And or it comes from Spags engineering some sort of blitz with Nick Bolton or defensive back, something like that. The Chiefs are lucky that they have such a great secondary, because I feel like opposing quarterbacks just have all day to throw. So if I'm thinking about the playoffs here, I'm gonna go with pass rush being the more important thing. I'm gonna put more trust in my linebackers.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I think Kyle, you made a good point. Just looking ahead towards the playoffs. I mean, obviously, you're looking at probably a matchup with the Bills again. That's probably what it's going to be. And then if the Ravens can turn around their season, you're looking at Lamar, and he's obviously, when you give him enough time, he's able to extend those plays outside of the pocket. But yeah, like you said, I think the run defense so far has been at least average this year, if not above average. We've stopped some pretty good running backs, and then I think that our linebacking core is really good. They're a good support group behind them. They do a pretty good job at whenever the running back gets to the second level. Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, and those guys do a pretty good job of stopping them before they get any explosive plays. So yeah, I think the pass rusher is a bigger or more dire need right now. We're not generating a lot of pressure, so I'd probably go with the edge rushers.
So we're going to play a fun game. I'm going to list a pass rusher or a defensive tackle, and I want you to tell me either yes or no, and try to factor the realisticness of the possibility in your answer. First guy, Trey Hendrickson.
Oh man, doubtful.
Okay.
No, that's my answer. I don't think money would work,
No.
and I just think that the Bengals are stubborn. I don't know.
They are.
But I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I'd say no too, just based off what appears the contract that he's in search of right now. I don't think that's anywhere near where the Chiefs would be looking to spend on an edge rusher, especially after they just extended George Karlaftis this past offseason. I think it's too far out.
Next guy, Bradley Chubb.
What's the money on him like?
I don't know. I know that I think is in the final year of his deal in Miami. Miami just has a surplus of pass rushers right now. I mean, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Matthew Judon. Actually, I'll tie all three of those guys together. Do you think the Chiefs trade for one of those three guys?
Okay, so Chubb, I'm looking at his contract right now. He's locked up until 27. Base salary next year 19.4. The year after 18.4. Rest of this year only 12. The Chiefs would have to finagle some, definitely have to, but you asked me if this was a realistic target. I'm going to still say no.
I'll say out of the three, I do think there's a possibility that I think Matthew Judon is probably looking like the most likely of the three, and then I'd say Jalen Phillips right after that, and then I'd put Bradley Chubb probably last, just because you're right, there's two more years remaining, and he's got an average cap hit of $18 million a year, so that's which we're paying George that about right now, or it will go into effect, I think, after this
George
season.
Will get about 23-ish or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit north of that. So, yeah, I'd say Matthew Judon is probably the most likely of those three.
How about Jermaine Johnson?
Yeah, I absolutely. I'll say yes there.
Yeah.
How realistic it is, I waver on that, but I think we do know that he wants out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys all saw that tweet that he put out Sunday after.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know how much more he can give without change. But yeah, I'd love to see Jermaine Johnson in a Chiefs jersey. And as I talked about, I don't know, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but they've already exercised his 60-year option for the 13.4 million for 2026 season. So
Okay.
as I said, we'd have to make a little bit move around, but as I said, I'd love to see him in a Chiefs jersey.
Yeah, like with all these guys, you'd have to, move it around. Veach has got to do something with the cap, and somebody's got to restructure somewhere. But you don't underestimate you take a guy from a terrible team and you energize him and put him on a team that he knows is going to at least go to the AFC Championship game. No matter what you pay for that guy, I think it'll be worth it just based off the boost a guy like that'll get coming to Kansas City. That's something I just wanted to throw in with all these guys.
Well, yeah, no, you're 100% right. And Jermaine Johnson's interesting because of that fifth-year option. It's another year of team control. And if the Chiefs are looking to get the most bang for their buck and the most value out of sending a draft pick somewhere, that might make sense. But I think my final question for you guys, is there a player that you would be upset if the Chiefs traded for?
Mike Pennell.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Yeah, half of it I would be upset because I'd be like, what the blank were you thinking? Why'd you get rid of him in the first place? And then your own star defensive lineman comes out saying we got to get him back. The process would piss me off. The result of the trade would not. I'd be like, all right, we're good because his numbers are good this year, and they traded actual draft capital for the worst interior defensive lineman in the NFL this year.
Yeah, that was exactly the point I was going to get to. Is just that we actually, used a trade. We traded a pick to get Derek Nottie, and then obviously we would have to trade another one in order to get Mike Pennell back. Nobody's going to trade you. There's no player that's going to swap out for Mike Pennell. So we would obviously have to use more draft capital. So yeah, that would be very frustrating. I don't have a specific player in mind, but just anybody that's going to hold us back cap wise. We've got a lot of big contracts coming up. Rashid may seem far out, but his contract's going to be on the horizon soon. Who's the name I'm forgetting now? Oh, Trent McDuffie. Yeah,
McDuffie, Leo Chenal.
Yeah. So I mean, every year it's like that with the Chiefs. We've got so many good players that have developed in our system. But yeah, just anybody that's going to hold us back cap wise, we don't really have room for that.
No, I definitely think that, you're on the money, and we all agreed that the Chiefs at least need bodies on the defensive line, whether it's an edge rusher or a defensive tackle. You could use some more juice at the pass rush spot. You could also use a run stuffer. Either way, Brett Veach has his work cut out for him, and he has to go out and find someone that will make this unit better. So I think that we covered this topic well, and we'll definitely continue to follow and monitor the reports that come out of who the Chiefs might be interested in as we get closer to the deadline. But my final question for both of you is, where can the people find your content? And we'll start with Caden.
You can find me on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I am the producer of the Take with Andy Sweeney. You can catch us on Wednesday nights, so tomorrow night from 7 to 9. And then I'll also be on the night shift with Darcy from 10 to 11. And then also, of course, right here on KC Sports Report.
It's pretty much the same places as Cade and I produce the program at Sports Radio 810 with Saran Petro, weekdays 2 to 6, and then find me on here with Darcy and Caden, and find me on the night shift this week. We're later than usual, 10 p.m.
Yes, we are.
This week. Hopefully we'll get back to that 9 p.m. slot. That'd be better for me. And you, Darcy, you got to get up earlier than I do.
I'll tell you what, brew some coffee, drink an energy drink, whatever you got to do to listen to us. But we will be on Sports Radio 810 from 10 to 11. We should be on at 9 next week, but we're trying to figure that all out. But also go follow both Caden and Kyle on Twitter. Their stuff will be linked in the description below. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Daily Chiefs content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.